So, I'm not the only one who thinks Nintendo doing a regular Direct just 6 days before the Switch 2 one was weird as hell, right? Still, for such a sudden and last minute thing, it wasn't half bad, although there are, of course, still people complaining that it was mediocre or disappointing. Like, the Switch 2 Direct is right around the corner, calm down, what do you even expect from this one? Most people are probably focused on Metroid Prime 4 or the new Tomodachi Life, but for me the highlight was easily the new The Somnium Files game. It was a complete surprise and I didn't really think too much of it at the start of the trailer, but as soon as I saw the logo show up and realised what it was, I had the biggest smile on my face. To be honest, I wasn't even sure if they'd make another entry. The way the second game ended felt like it could either allow for a sequel or just be an ending for the series, but in the end we are getting a new one, which I'm very happy about, seeing how the first two are some of the best experiences I've had with games in recent memory. I did play Zero Escape afterwards, but while they're also great in their own way, I'm definitely more of a fan of since it not only has the super engaging twisting narrative style of Zero Escape, but also more interesting characters. Whereas most of the Zero Escape characters didn't really do it for me. I'm kinda unsure if this game really counts as a fully fledged sequel, seeing how it's set between the first two games. Plus its name makes it seem like more of a side game or spin-off sort of thing, though it doesn't look like it'll be a lesser experience because of that. It still has all the familiar modes of gameplay from the other games, like investigation and somnium sections. The big new thing in this game is the addition of escape sections that seem like they'll play pretty much the same as Zero Escape, which is cool. Somnium sections are fun, but they aren't really very complex in terms of puzzles, they're more about managing the time limit. So, some more complex puzzles without a time limit would add some nice variety to the gameplay. It's also interesting seeing the series lean further into Zero Escape influence after Nirvana Initiative's antagonist was pretty much right out of Zero Escape. As for the story, we don't know too much yet beyond the basic premise, but I'm fine with that. I'll probably avoid any future trailers because these games tend to be better the less you know going in, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the characters again. The returning characters in the second game weren't as important as the new ones, but I'm getting the impression that this game will give them the spotlight again, seeing how Date is the playable character again, just like in the first game. Not to mention it only takes place a day after the first game's ending, so I feel like it will follow up a little more on some of that game's plot threads, which sounds good to me. I'm definitely interested to see how things will play out with Iris as a sort of secondary protagonist who you play as during the escape sections. She was important in the first game, but then didn't really do too much in the second, but I definitely think there's more that can be done with her. I think the most exciting thing will simply be seeing more of Aiba and Date together. Aiba also had a good dynamic with Mizuki in Nirvana Initiative, but it'll be nice to see the original duo together again. Both characters are incredibly weird in their own different ways, and the ways they bounce off of each other are endlessly entertaining. They could easily make a load more games and still not run out of funny new ways for the two of them to argue and banter with each other. They're just a great pairing. I can't really emphasize just how happy this announcement made me. I feel like the surprise of it only adds to that. I can't really stop gushing over the first two games. They're fantastic mysteries with so many little hooks and questions to keep you going, but I think what really makes me love them so much is how they can unfold in very human and emotional ways, as you discover the truth behind characters and why certain things are the way they are. Like, I can't say I was expecting the guy with the goofy Minecraft heads to be one of my favourite characters in the game, but here we are. The best part is that it's not even that long now until it comes out, which is great because it instantly became my most anticipated game this year. Honestly, my only criticism of it is that title, No Sleep for Kaname Date from The Somnium Files. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? At the same time though, that's such a minor thing that it doesn't bother me. I honestly just think it's kind of funny, and these games can get quite silly sometimes, so I feel like it's fitting in a weird way. Now, here comes my predictable recommendation to play these games if you haven't. I mean, you probably already have if you're even watching this, but on the chance that you haven't and you've somehow made it this far into the video, firstly, thanks for sticking around, even though you probably don't know too much about what I'm discussing, but also, yeah, I think more people should play these games. I'd recommend the series to anyone who likes mysteries, detective stories, weird humour, or sci-fi. I can understand the humour can alienate some people. If you're not into a lot of very overt sexual humour, you might not like it, and I do see where people are coming from when they say it borders on tonal whiplash sometimes. But I like that the series has such a strong sense of fun to it. It's a good counterbalance for the darker elements, and believe me, they can get pretty dark despite how ridiculous they can be at times. I'll take something like that any day though, over totally joyless, pure grimdark. I like that the series isn't afraid of appearing immature or not being taken seriously. Many stories these days take themselves too seriously, and it can come across as kinda insecure. I feel like these games are the kinds of experiences that people are looking for more these days in a market full of oversaturated open worlds and multiplayer live services that are trying to take up all of your time. The AI games are just very solid 20 or so hour experiences with a strong focus on story. In other words, they're the kinds of games that are unfortunately getting rarer and rarer outside of the indie scene. That's not to say all super long games are bad, but shorter games are good too since they're much easier to find the time for. So if you're getting kinda burned out by all these 100+ hour experiences, maybe try these games out, and if you enjoy them, well then great news, a new one is coming in July. I know I'm looking forward to it.